This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Helping you find emotional, spiritual, and physical balance. What does your future hold? It's time to find out with Psychic Suzanna.
Yes, you are exactly where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You do know that this is the show that will take you to places you won't normally hear on the station. We are about empowering you with new knowledge, new ideas, and I want you to understand that we're more alike than we're different. We all put on pants one leg at a time, and so I bring you people in different perspectives so you can understand them and learn from everybody else. So we're going to be doing a really interesting conversation about earth magic with our first guest. Then we have someone coming in, Kenny Miller. He wrote a book on a visit to Hardington.
Good old Hardington, Nebraska.
Which is Jim's stomping ground.
Yeah, my mom was from up that way.
And then we've got
more
musicians coming in. But here's the thing. We have so much today. We thought I would start by feeding Jim. Mm-hmm. So I went over to the Greek islands. And I got him a little spinach, a little meatballs, hero meat. Mm-hmm. We've had a real good time, so we are ready for a good show. Also, we got the bread from the Mediterranean European grocery on 84th. So it's really cool. We're prepared to make this the best night of your life. Let's go for it. But did you join us on Facebook? It's Susanna Stickney on Facebook, Life with Psychic Suzanna on Facebook, and Susanna Stickney on Twitter and Facebook. Go to the website, KFAB. You know, everything you need to know is on KFAB. Actually, we have, did you know you could win $100 in Bucky cards for each week before the drawing on the radio auction? How exciting is that? And then our dear Michelle has some healthy recipes of the week that you can do for under like $20. I mean, it's just the place you need to be. KFAB, Life with Psychic Suzanna. We're all here. We're going to all grow together. Now, the gentleman I have on today is, by the way, Jim, you gave me an earphone that cuts in and out. Thank you very much.
Hey, you ran over it.
All right, fine. All right. The gentleman we have here today is Dr. Stephen Farmer. Now, the interesting thing about him is that he is a shamanic practitioner, an ordained minister, and a licensed psychotherapist. So I want to bring online with us Dr. Stephen Farmer. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you hosting me.
Okay, now I understand from my Jim that you're an Iowa boy. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we were just talking about that. I was born and raised the first 12 years of my life in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So I still have that Midwestern ground on the earth kind of feel about me.
Yeah,
and plus, my name's Farmer, so how can you go wrong?
Well, I'm from Sioux City. Jim's from Hardington, I believe.
Yeah, I have family up that way.
We're all over the place. But you know what? This is what is so good about this radio station. We cover everything. Where are we finding you living right now?
Right now, and for actually the last several years, I've lived in Laguna Beach, California. I've lived pretty much at...
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents moved us out when I was 12, and I've lived in Southern California pretty much the rest of that time up till now.
So I would say you haven't had too much time shoveling snow?
No, we're kind of wimps here. I got to say, we're cold weather wimps. What can I say? I call my sister who still lives in Iowa. I say, my God, it got cold last night. It hit the 40s.
Yeah.
But she just, she rolls her eyes. I can hear her rolling her eyes. So
now, how did you become? Now, first, this says you are an ordained minister and a licensed psychotherapist, and then a shamanistic practitioner.
Yeah,
Tell me your path. Tell me your path. How did you go from where you are?
25 words or less. Let's see. I as a psychotherapist, I had a very successful private practice, and people kept showing up, and they would refer other people. So that went very, very well. I found, though, over the years that the evolution of my practice really incorporated spirituality to some degree. And I don't mean religion. I mean spirituality. And in response to, let's say, a client's questions or inquiry about that, we could go into that. Mm-hmm. Also, I know that my purpose really here is as a healer, teacher, and communicator. I would sum that up in 3 words. So the way that that's manifested has changed, of course, over the years. I'm 64 years old, so it's quite natural to evolve. About, I'd say, probably 17, 18 years ago, I was introduced to shamanism. And shamanism is been around for thousands and thousands of years. Indigenous people today still have someone who they would call a shaman in their community or their tribe or their village.
What is a shaman then? If they would have someone, are we all shamans, or can we all be shamans?
Well, that's a really good question. What we're experiencing a real revival of some of these ancient practices of shamanism. Essentially, the shaman is he or she. I'm going to say he, but it could be he or she. In an indigenous community, or back when, even amongst our ancestors thousands of years ago.
Excuse me, just a minute. Help me understand what the word indigenous means.
Certainly, that's people of the earth. That would be, say, the Aboriginals of Australia, the Native Americans, the people that really are familiar with the land upon which they live and have lived there for sometimes literally centuries. And
who have used the land to help them survive, correct?
Yes, exactly. They live, as a friend has said, it's not living off the land, it's living with the land and all of its inhabitants. So the shaman is someone who has a gift that's developed of being able to access what we would call non-ordinary reality, where he will work with his helping spirits to bring healing back to the community, wherever that is.
He will work with his helping spirits. We're going to want to go into that later. But first go ahead, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Well, just that's it. It's he would do, typically what was employed was something called the shamanic journey. And all that is that he sends his consciousness, you could say, into this realm of a non-ordinary reality. And there, work with the spirit guides that are there, and then with the information that he gathers from there is bring it back to the community, typically to heal an individual, a family, or even the community.
Well, now the shamanic journey is something that Native Americans do quite a bit. Is that not correct?
In fact, Susanna, most people associate shamanism or the shamanic journey with Native Americans, but I got to tell you, it's throughout the world. The older people that have been in a particular land for a long period of time, the indigenous people, there's some commonalities in shamanic practices of cultures that have never come across one another, and that's one of the common themes of shamanism is the shamanic journey. So it's not just exclusively Native American. African, even some of my ancestors, Irish Celtic, centuries ago, had someone, a shaman, who would perform that, and that was the go-to person. There weren't, there weren't specialists, MDs who had specialized. There wasn't hospitals. It would be the psychiatrist, the medical doctor, the herbologist, the preacher, all of those things under one banner called the shaman. So if you had a problem you lived in a village or a community that was an ancient community, or as I said, the indigenous people today that still are around, you would go to the shaman and say, this is the problem I'm having. Can you help me out? And he would work with his spirit helpers to try to determine what the problem is and what the cure would be.
One of the things that I like in your Earth Magic book, you have the 4 laws of spirit, which is, whoever shows up are exactly the right people to show up. When it begins, it's exactly the right time. Whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened. And when it's over, it's over. That's pretty profound.
It's so simple, and I love that kind of simple wisdom, Susanna. That is one of my favorite statements. And
whoever
it's true.
shows up is exactly the right person to show up.
Yeah, because we have our plans, we have agendas. We think, oh, this is the way it's supposed to go, or the number 4. When I call it when the party's over, the party's over. When
right.
something is done, it's done. It's just the way it is.
So
but
it's
so
not
much of our
for our highest purpose to carry on when it's over, to keep it in our life as it's real.
Very well put. Yes,
yeah.
That's very well stated. It's just difficult sometimes. This is a code by which we can really live our lives, and these are the. I attribute this to Harrison Owen, who's a spiritual writer. This is where it came from, and he, these statements are basically not laws that we must rigidly adhere to, but they're guidelines that say, you want to lead a spiritual life. Let me give you these 4 tips, and it makes life a lot easier if we can accept that.
So we're in the right place at the right time. I love that thought process, because so many people feel like they're just out of sync. But
right.
Even being out of sync is in sync, would you think?
Yeah, I think so, and I think we have this remarkable facility or capacity of the human mind, the ego mind, and what that means simply is that we have this consciousness, and yet we also have this ego mind that sort of wants to run the show.
Okay.
And unfortunately, though, spirit may have a different idea in mind. God may have, spirit
right.
and God, I use those terms interchangeably. But God might have something else in mind. So the difficulty is that we confront often is to reconcile what God or spirit is directing us to do and that we're responding to versus how our own self-will desire to willfully follow our own agenda may come to a great deal of frustration and conflict as a result. It's difficult to surrender to what is.
I got to tell you, since I started surrendering, life is so much easier. Right now, though, we're going to take a little break, and I'm coming back with something else that I found in your book, The Water Bearer. I love that story you told. And when I get back from this break, can you tell us about the water bearer?
Sure.
Okay, this is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. This is the only place you need to be for all the information you need to make your life easier with every single step you take. We are talking to Dr. Stephen Farmer. He wrote Earth Magic. He's telling us about the shaman way.
Psychic Suzanna.
Can't get through on the radio show? Call Psychic Suzanna anytime at 712-276-9349. That's 712-276-9349. Or visit her webpage, PsychicSuzanna.com.
You are exactly where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You can always find us at PsychicSuzanna.com, where you get a free question, you get my schedule. You can also go to KFAB.com. This show will be put up in a couple days, so you can rehear the show again and help you to understand the shamanic journey, the shamanic wisdom we're learning today from Dr. Stephen Farmer, who's teaching us Earth Magic. Also, please join us on Facebook. Life with Psychic Suzanna gives you an inside look on who's going to be on the show. And Susanna Stickney on Facebook and Twitter. I bring out an intention every day. I'd like you to follow. Join me with the attention. Let's make the world better, one place at a time. So we are talking with Dr. Stephen Farmer of Earth Magic, and I told him that on one of his pages in his book, actually page 167, he has this wonderful story about a water barrier. Can you tell us about that story, Dr. Stephen?
Sure.
Farmer.
Well, the book itself, Susanna, is a real attempt to, in so many different ways, to really encourage people to really see and get the magic that's available to them in the land, in the earth, and with the earth. And one section of that is about storytelling and how important that was and significant that was to our ancestors. And this one story that you've referred to, the water bearer, is about a water bearer who every day carries 2 large pots up to his master's house, across on a yoke, one on the left, one on the right. But one pot has a crack, and half of the water leaks out each day before he gets to the house. The other pot's perfect and always shows up with a full pot of water.
Right.
After years of doing this, the pot that was leaking, always arriving half empty, started to feel, had been feeling guilty, and so he apologized one day to the water bearer. Mm-hmm. It's just miserable. The pot was just miserable. Saying, "I'm so sorry. I couldn't accomplish what the perfect pot did." And the water bearer says, "What do you mean? What do you have to apologize for?" Well, he says, "After all this time, I only deliver half my load of water. I make more work for you because of this flaw." And the water bearer, the man, smiled, and he turned to the pot and he says, "Look back there. Take a look at all of the beautiful flowers that are growing on the side of the path where I carried you. The flowers grew so lovely because of the water you leaked. There are no flowers on the perfect pot's side."
Wow. Isn't that a great tale? What is that tale telling us?
Well, it really speaks for itself, but a lot of times we judge ourselves for our supposed flaws, but sometimes those flaws really contain gifts if we just take a closer look at them rather than holding them in our self-judgment that something's wrong with me. We've heard story after story or read story after story of people who would have, severe limitations. The fellow that was so inspiring that was born, unfortunately without full arms and full legs, and yet he was going around talking to people like he's made a life for himself of inspiring people, as a for instance, so that we can take what we might perceive as a flaw or a limitation or a shortcoming, and giving it some thought, what we can do is we can see that, oh no, there could be real gifts in this. In my own experience, without going into a lot of stories about it, but just looking at my childhood and some of the challenges in the childhood that I faced, as most of us do, if not all of us do at some point or another, I think have really been an aspect of what I see as the gifts that I have for healing and teaching people. Mm-hmm. I was counseling. By license, I'm a marriage and family counselor. Get this, okay?
Right.
Back in Iowa.
Uh-huh.
We moved out here. My parents I've got 2 older brothers and sisters, but it was just me when we moved out here. And there was so much conflict and stress and everything that they would fight a lot. I remember 2 occasions where I sat them down and started counseling their relationship when I was 14 years old.
I love that. I love that. Well, I do believe we're all an extension cord of spirit. I do believe we're all an extension cord of spirit. So if we want to learn how to become a shamanic wisdom, we start with this book. What will this book help us understand?
Suzanna, it would help us understand, not just intellectually, but through the experiences, and there are exercises in the books. I think one's experience is much more powerful a teacher than anything, any teaching or anything like that. The teaching can point the way, but when we have an experience of it. And what I would hope that people would be able to do, and this is my intention with this book, is to explore these different things, like I mentioned, storytelling, being able to walk out and sit by a tree and really feel the life force, which we also call spirit, the life force of that tree, to touch the earth in a different way, to really get out there, take our socks and shoes off when it's a little warmer, granted, and stand on the earth.
Yes, you do know this area.
I remember Iowa. I remember the cold,
Okay.
But anyway, that's my intention and desire with this book. And it also explores different aspects not only of shamanic work and shamanic practice, but just ways that we can become more intimately, and I want to say reacquainted with our fact, which is that we are related to everything. The Lakota, the Sioux, what we call Sioux Indians, but their name is Lakota, they're a good example of that they really they have a saying, and it's Metaquiasan, And all that means, typically it's said before going into, say, a sweat lodge or doing a ceremony of the earth. And it just simply means all my relations, and it's a recognition that we are related to everything and all in the earth and in the cosmos.
Okay, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back. I am talking to Dr. Stephen Farmer. He has written the book Earth Magic. It is a way of helping us to understand how to live easier on Earth by this path. We'll be right back. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna. Stay tuned. We're growing together. We're learning how to make peace out of every breath we take.
Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB.
Yes, this is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Please always join us here every Sunday night where we find knowledge to take you into the future and we help you to understand what's going around you now. Today, if you joined us on Facebook with Life with Psychic Suzanna, you would have heard that we have Dr. Stephen Farmer here. He is the author of Earth Magic. Please join us on Psychic Suzanna on Facebook. And .com, on also Susanna's Stickname, Facebook, and Twitter. Dr. Farmer, I am just a little upset that we're run out of time. And we have some great stories that you've told us. Thank God they're going to be on lines for us to hear them. I must tell you that I went to a church downtown today, and there's a big billboard over the road that says, "Everyone has a story." And I got to thank you.
I love it.
Thank you for sharing our story with us. We're going to have you back on. That's all there is to it.
Well, I appreciate it, Susanna. I want to say one last thing, if I may, is I'm going to be sort of in your...
Let us know how to find you, too.
Yeah, sort of in your neighborhood. I'm going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin, coming up here on, I think it's March 8th, thereabouts, and also going to be in Des Moines, Iowa, my home state. Yay! But I'll let people look it up on my website, which is earthmagic.net, earthmagic.net.
Okay, thank you again, Dr. Stephen
And God
Farmer.
bless you. Thank you, Susanna. God bless your listeners, too. Thanks
It's been a blessing. Thank you. We will be right back. We have with us, we're going to Harlingen, Nebraska, the home of Jim and our Kenny Miller. You stay tuned. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna, 1110 KFAB. Yes, you are exactly where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Now, you can always find me at PsychicSuzanna.com or KFAB.com. Please join us on Facebook, Life with Psychic Suzanna, and Susanna Stickney on Facebook and Twitter. Every day I give out an intention. I want you to join me. I want you to help me make the world better, one thought at a time.